All right, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our presentation. I want to thank you again for being here this morning. I'm excited to have you here. Obviously, the fact that you're here on an early morning on the last day tells me that you're serious about your business and you brought your dealership. And so I want to just kind of set the tone of a little bit what's going to happen today. We've got a lot of examples that we're going to be sharing with you of how we're able to execute the concepts of tipping the scales in your favor. So we're going to actually go at a pretty quick clip because we want to show you lots of different ways that this can be implemented at your dealership. And then there will be hopefully the time at the Q&A to clear up any of the examples that we've given you and for you to get some specifics of how to implement this at your dealership. But in general, if you're at the right session, you're in the session on 5 strategies, strategic advantages to out-experience your competition, to create raving fans, to increase your profits, and to ultimately do this in a price-driven marketplace. How do you tip the scales in your favor? I want to start by making kind of a big, bold promise to you. Here's my promise. If I do my job right, if David does his role right, if we do what we want, approximately an hour from now, you're going to feel a few emotions. You're going to feel challenged. You're going to feel inspired. You're going to feel convicted. And you're going to feel 100% confident that you too can tip the scales in your favor in a price-driven marketplace back at your dealership. Now, how do you tip the scales in your favor? I want to start by letting David take this and kind of describe what does that mean? What are we talking about when we say tip the scales?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. To me, being a dealer, being an operator like most of you, I'm sure we deal with day-to-day challenges. And I'm just going to go through the top 5 that I see right now. Multi-channel communication. That's all of our customers want to be communicated with differently, whether it's through Facebook Messenger, text message, email, phone, or just showing up to the dealership. Also, manufacturer pressures that we all deal with. If you're not performing, hitting the benchmarks they want, are they pulling back supply on you? Are they dropping another dealer right in your backyard? Marketing messaging, how fragmented marketing is today, meaning that, people don't sit still long enough. Where are you meeting that customer? Are you meeting them digitally? Are you meeting them, with television? It's not like the business was 30 years ago where it run a bunch of TV ads, maybe buy a newspaper ad, you can drive business that way. Managing through all the madness and all the fast-paced environment that our dealerships are dealing with today. And then last, the margin compression, the amount of information that's available to the general public about our business, trade values, cost of our inventory. There's just a lot of challenges that are coming at us. And through this talk, we want to give you guys real-world examples of what we do in my dealership and what John does around the country and other dealerships that he helps out so that you guys can take real information back to implement in your dealerships. So, John?
Yeah, so specifically when we say tip the scales in your favor, here's what I'm talking about. These are the 5 factors that if you implement these in a selling process and in a buying process, they tip the scales in your favor from a value perspective and they cause people to willingly pay more. So take, for example, coming here from Atlanta. If you just look at, for example, the first one, easy. The easy way to come here is to take a direct flight. That would be the easiest thing to do. But to do that, I pay a premium to be able to do that. If I want a more exclusive experience on that flight, I can upgrade myself to first class. I have a more exclusive experience doing so, but I pay a premium to do that. Every single day, your customers willingly choose to pay a premium when these things are introduced into a buying process. So what I want to do is ask the question, what are we doing to elevate these things when we're with our clients? How can we, on purpose, manufacture these things in the selling experience for the customer? Because, for example, you take expertise. Who amongst us who hasn't paid for an expert's advice or paid for an expert when you needed one, whether that would be a doctor or an attorney or somebody with taxes? When you want advice and it's important, you'll pay a premium to get expertise. Who amongst us has not tipped more for the effort somebody has provided during service? These are the things that compel someone psychologically to give more money than they had to. So what I want to do today and what David and I are going to try to do is we're going to say, what if we on purpose incorporated these psychological factors into the buying process on purpose? Could we elevate our gross? Could we elevate our customer experience? Could we elevate our raving fans that we collect every time we sell cars? So to give you a little bit of background, this is just a snapshot on me. I call myself a man on a mission. I'm on a mission to save the world one salesperson at a time. It's a small mission, but I'm a man on it. And so I travel literally all over the world working with sales teams and salespeople, specifically trying to help them create a book of business based on Raving Fan advocates. I've got about 2 decades now of teaching the psychology of sales and marketing. So everything I'm going to show you today is rooted in some psychological principles that are always at play. We're just probably not utilizing them like we could. My company is Sellchology, selling through psychology, and so I do a lot of different things for dealers. I want to give you a snapshot of David next so you understand who your audience or who we are talking to you, so give you some framework, and then as we get into the material, you kind of have some context for where we're coming from.
Yep. Thank you, Sean. I'm the general manager at Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. That's a dealership north of Atlanta in a town called Canton, Georgia. Been in the business since '01. My dealership is, over the last 2 years, has had tremendous growth, a little over 170% growth. So we're really proud of that. I'm most proud of being a father to 6, and I have one wife who had all those beautiful 6 children. And my goal for my team is real simple. We want to out-experience our competition, and we're going to show you examples of how we do that. And I want to make sure that, as a dealer coming out here to support John and not just being a trainer, just giving you theories, actually showing you things that work in my dealership. That's why I agreed to come and speak with him, because he's impacted my dealership, and I want to give back to him and also share some knowledge that I've gained through this process. So a couple things we've done. When I took over that dealership, the gross profit was around $1,200 a car. We've increased that to $3,400 a car total, new and used. Reduced turnover down to 12%. Reduced my ad spend, which is probably the thing I'm most proud of, down to $225 a car. And in this competitive environment where your dollars are getting stretched, to be able to do that and still have the gains we've had, with some of the examples we're going to show you, it's not about just going out and spending a bunch of money. It's equipping your team with the right tools so that they can have an impact. This is, just some of the examples why I believe y'all should really start focusing on the experience that you provide to your customers to make a difference. A couple questions for you. Ease of the sale. How easy should it be to buy a car at your respective dealerships? Well, the easy answer is that you should make it as simple as possible, right? Well, there's 3 ways we can all make it easier, and I'm going to go through these, and I'm going to share an example of one where I've got a little video example for you. But leveraging the technology that's available to you today is an extremely important way. One way my dealership does that is we do a lot of video. We do a ton of video, pre-sale video and post-sale video. We use a technology called co-video to deploy that to our customer base. Second thing is empower your team members to make decisions on the spot, not the old way 30 years ago of let me talk to a manager, let me go, that's not my department, I can't help you with that. When we do that, we just chop the legs out of our salespeople, and we're so empowering them, giving them the tools to make on-the-spot decisions within parameters that you set will help you make it super easy for your customers to do business. And then the third is remove the curtain. In my dealership, our process is the manager meets the customer immediately. And we're not, sitting behind some wall where you're never going to see them and there's a bunch of back and forth. We're very early in the process to go meet. And you may say, well, David, that's super simple. Well, it's absolutely 100% of the time expected in our dealership. And, so I'm going to show you an example of how we leverage technology. I've got a quick video clip of a customer situation, of a customer that was typical of a lot of customers today. They don't have a lot of time. They can't show up to the dealership, so you have to find ways to really excite them about the sale. One of the ways we do that is through video. So let me show you this quick video. All right, Rick, this is Matt Claxton. Matt's
Hey, how you doing?
Matt's our service used car, and we're walking out and taking a look at this Ford. We apologize it's taken us a couple days to get you a video. We just traded for this bad boy, and it's the Power Stroke F250. Matt, can you tell Mr. Huck a little bit about this truck?
Yeah, Mr. Huck, this is a Lariat, obviously, fully loaded out. It's got power sunroofs, navigation, heated seats, tow package, bed.
So it gives you the example. That's real world shot on the fly with an iPhone with the co-video app that's deployed right to the customer. We do that because your customers need to be met where they are. Well, this guy happened to be at his office and didn't have any time to come and see it. So we did a personalized video to deploy it right to his desktop or to his iPhone or whatever he's watching it on so that he can see the truck up close and personal. And the thing that makes it different than just putting a video on your website is it's the personal touch, personalized specifically to the name of the customer, that makes the difference. That you took the time out of your day to go shoot that video specifically for him. You know, none of the competitors in my market do that. So when we talk about out experiencing the competition, if this guy's shopping trucks against anybody else in my market, he gets a personalized video from me, the general manager, and my used car manager. Who's he most likely to come and shop with? You guys all know the answer to that, right? So the question for you is, how easy is it at your store, not only for your people, but also for your customers to gather information and have an easy buying experience? Think about that. It's something to think about on the flight home of how can you make it easier. Okay, John?
Yeah, so we're talking about influencers, and like I said, I'm going to stack a bunch of these together because if you want to tip the scales in your favor, you want to use as many of these as you can with all of your customers and in all of your processes. So how easy we make it, we all know we've paid a premium because something was easier to do it that way. So if we can just kind of examine all the areas where our process gets hung up, make it easier, the customers are willing to pay a premium for easy. The other thing that people are willing to pay a premium for is that VIP kind of access, that exclusivity. If you've ever been to a sporting event, you've always seen those box seats. There's always a section that's more exclusive. There's always an experience opportunity. There's always a VIP pass into the club. There's always getting the stamp that gets you to the table, right? There's always something like that. And when we start building exclusivity and uniqueness into the experience for the customer, customers not only are willing to pay more, but they have a better story to tell about what happened at your store. So when we talk about that specifically, how can we make it special to buy a car at our dealership? Asking that question and in fact brainstorming with your team and asking them, let's just take a second and think about what are things we could do that would make the experience at our store special, unique, or exclusive in some capacity. Well, I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can elevate the exclusivity of your dealership. Specifically, you can do that through tailoring your discounts, through creating niche markets, and through customizing your deliveries. So when I say tailor your discounts, specifically what I'm talking about there, and especially for new car franchise dealers, you'll understand this. Almost all new car franchise dealers have specific groups of people that have exclusive access to preferred programs. So for example, if you're military, you might get a certain rebate for being military. College grad, you might get a rebate for being college grad. Where I think we make a mistake sometimes is not leveraging those very well and also limiting them to whatever the manufacturer limits it to. So the manufacturer limits it to military on certain vehicles or military period on new vehicles. But if I'm a military personnel and I'm coming in on a pre-owned vehicle at your dealership, do I get a discount? Do I get an exclusive something because I'm military on a used car? Most dealers say, no, that's only available on a new car. Well, why? Why are we saying that it's only available then? Why not make it there? So when you look at exclusivity of tailoring your discounts, creating specific programs where a customer can qualify for a specific incentive on military personnel or possibly small business owners. I know another thing that sometimes dealerships have and manufacturers do is they have affiliate programs with large companies. So if you're part of this mega company, as an employee of this mega company, you get this affiliate pricing. But what about the bakery in town? What about the restaurants in town? What about the other small businesses? We could leverage our relationships in our community and say, hey, because you're employed with this bakery, even though there's only 7 employees, all the employees get this preferred program through our dealership for being a small business employee here in our town. So you can do that with them. You could take nurses, for example, and say, we have a program specifically for nurses and target your hospitals. You could take, of course, the college grad program. You could take it to the teachers. You could take it to the high school grads. The reality is, if you start thinking about groups of people that you could target with a specific offer and say, hey, because you're in this group of persons, because you're one of these, you get this special program through our dealership. And then when I'm a nurse hauling around and shopping, and I say, hey, do you guys have the nursing program at your store? No, we don't have a nursing rebate at our store. Oh, well, because the other store does have a nursing rebate. No, they don't. Yes, they do. They said they do. They don't have that. I promise you they don't. And now it's like, okay, well, I'll go see. And then do you guys offer the nursing rebate? Yes, we do. It's like, oh, see, the other dealer was a liar. So the point is that you can leverage this idea of exclusivity in how you set your pricing. You can do this as a pre-owned dealer. You can do this as a new car franchise. Now, the other thing you'll do with this idea of niche marketing is you'll try to create niche markets within your database. So we're going to go from tailoring our discounts to certain kind of groups, but more specifically, we're going to actually market to specific groups intentionally. For example, here was a Nissan that was dealing with a customer who worked at this company, Cargill. Now, Cargill was not one of the supplier pricing partners. So the guy had asked, do you offer that? Because his friend, who was at a company that qualified, said, hey, I got this kind of pricing because you should ask them if you can get it. Well, no, we don't offer that because Cargill's not one of our supplier pricing partners. Well, why stop? Why not create? I mean, if you're willing to do it for them, find a way. Give them something. So we did it for them, but we didn't stop there. We said, why not do it for another company? So this was an American Airlines credit union. So we did it for a credit union. Then we said, we're going to do it for churches. So if you're a member of this church, we're going to do something special for you just because you go to this church. We're going to do it not only for that, we did it for the hospital. And then we did it for an apartment complex. And we just started looking at where are groups of people that we could just market directly to and offer them some sort of exclusive program because they live at this apartment complex, or because they work at this place, or because they're a member of this organization, we want to offer you something special. So whether you're tailoring your discounts, whether you're creating preferred delivery programs or concierge programs for certain companies, you're trying to say, because you're X, you qualify for this. And that creates exclusivity and makes people feel special. Now, another way you can do it is actually in the delivery process itself. How exclusive or unique or how special is the way that you deliver your cars too? Because people will remember how you start, but they'll remember how you finished, right? The last impression, right? So here's examples of what I'm talking about and making that special. So as you can see here, this salesperson here delivered the car with the red carpet and the bow. Now, this is being done on a pre-owned vehicle, not on a new vehicle, on a pre-owned vehicle. And this customer, who comes in and buys a pre-owned vehicle and sees this kind of delivery, they're like, holy, I never seen this before. This is like a Lexus commercial, they said. This is like they do on Lexus commercials, and he's buying a pre-owned car. This one, you can barely see it maybe here in the, I don't know if you can kind of see this. Can you see this right here? I don't know if you can notice that. Those are bubbles. So he's got a bubble machine, so when the customer walks out to take delivery, they walk through a stream of bubbles on the red carpet to go pick up their new truck. And of course, the customers absolutely love the experience. You're out experiencing your competition by adding an exclusive experience to the delivery and something that they want to tell their friends about. Now, I'm going to feature this guy here in a little bit later on in the session. This is Duck. I'll tell you about Duck in just a second. Now, I want to show you another one. This is a delivery box filled with goodies. So this is Ben Wright. He has his own custom cards, right? It's Ben Does It Right is his branding. These are cards that he's got relationships with local businesses that if somebody takes out their card, his Ben Does It Right card, they get discounts at the local bakery, at the sandwich shop, at all these different places he's got partnerships with, that if you buy a car from him, you're an exclusive member of the Ben Does It Right Club. You get to use his card to go to all these other businesses and leverage those relationships. Inside the box at delivery, they get all these goodies that he's put together from him. Many of these goodies, by the way, are donated by the local businesses that he has the partnerships with. Here's another salesperson at delivery, and you can see that when the customer comes in to take delivery of their car, they've got the custom branded balloons, they've got a thank you letter. In the middle there is the Coke bottle with the salesman's branded Coke bottles. It says Bill Stout on the Coke bottle, which is the name of the salesperson. The customer will get canned koozies, and they'll get a hat and pen all at delivery. They'll get a little gift basket and everything at delivery to say thank you. Now let me show you the emotional impact this has on customers when they walk up. How does this start to change the way they want to tell the story of buying a car? Check this out.
Nice.
You guys love me. You put a big bow on me.
Your carriage awaits.
Oh, hi,
Are you excited right now?
I'm ecstatic.
Are you
Lance,
happy?
this just moved Lance up to a 10. You put a huge bow on him.
Everybody meet Lance. This is her beautiful baby blue.
And John and Roy are freaking awesome.
And we are pretty darn amazing, aren't we?
Awesome. They're awesome.
You hear that, Roy? You're pretty darn amazing. I heard that.
So do you see that experience? Like imagine that video. She's like, hey, can I send that to all my friends? Can I put that on Facebook? Right? She's buying a pre-owned vehicle. She's buying a pre-owned, I think it was like a 2012 like Hyundai Sonata or something like that. She's buying a pre-owned car. When I first was showing her the car and I asked her, what do you think about it? She's like, I don't know, it's like a 6. What did she say now? You made it what? A 10. The car didn't change, the experience did. Let me give you another one that's really touching.
It's raining on.
It's sprinkling.
Hey, take it a video. Where's the bell I get to ring? Woo!
Do you see that?
This is the best day ever.
We did this in honor of you being a survivor.
Thank you.
Yeah. So fantastic.
Yay.
Look at that wonderful display.
Orange.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my God, let me get it from the front.
She's excited.
So she is a cancer survivor. And when the salesperson was working with the husband on getting everything arranged for her to get her new Jeep, he had disclosed that she had come through recovery and she's on the tail end and she's doing great. And one of the things she said she was going to reward herself was the car she's always wanted, which was the Jeep Wrangler. And so we knew that that when we were first talking to the husband, and I said, hey, do we have like a pink bow? And they were like, no, we don't have a pink bow. We have a red bow. We don't have a pink bow. I said, it can't be that hard to get a pink bow here in 24 hours. When's the delivery? So we ordered a pink bow and got it here in time for the delivery. And she walked out there as a cancer survivor and saw that, and it was very moving. I mean, there's a lot more to the video there. She starts crying. So, but this is what I'm talking about. How do we out-experience our competition? How do we do something exclusive and unique? How do you make it special at your store? This is a question to be asking your team. Now, I want to move to the next one, which is effort, so I'm going to...
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, John. Good information. The effort side is obviously real easy to talk about, but not always easy to execute, right? Especially when we're talking about our staff. So how do we as dealers, as operators, as managers, increase the effort of ourselves and also the people that work for us? A couple ways I'm going to share, and then I've got also a video example. One big way is meet them where they are. And what I mean is with meet them where they are is the customer. It is not the business of 20 years ago. We just recently delivered a Wrangler about an hour away from us. The customer never visited our dealership. Only a couple of phone calls, a couple of videos, and then we delivered all the paperwork in the vehicle directly to their house. And, so when I show this example of meet them where they are, that's what I'm talking about, of meeting the customer where they are, whether it's the way they want to communicate via text, Facebook Messenger, or if they want to do the entire purchase offline at their house or at their place of business. We've got to be able to adapt to the changing environment that we're all faced with and put forth more effort so that we can capture more of that business. Okay? Second thing, prepare for the appointment. In anticipation of the customer arriving, we have a dedicated area at my dealership, which is a VIP area, where there's signage for the customer with their specific name on it, on their vehicle, so that when they arrive, even if they hadn't decided to buy yet, we still single out the vehicle and pull it to the side with their name on the vehicle so that they feel special, that it's something unique to their experience. Again, it goes back to what's my competition doing in the marketplace? They're not doing that. So if that customer decides to shop me and they pull up to another dealership and they've got to go hunt the vehicle, and then the vehicle doesn't crank, and then the vehicle's out of gas, and the salesperson's not prepared, and the salesperson's frustrated, who's going to out-experience the competition there? My dealership or the dealership down the road that's not prepared? So when you really start thinking about this in your business, at your dealerships, what do your guys do and your girls do to put forth maximum effort so that you can out-experience the competition? I'm going to get to the meet them where they are. I'm going to get to a quick video here. This is a customer that lived in Kentucky, a couple states away from me, never visited my dealership. We did everything over the phone and by video, and then we delivered it right to their house. They actually paid to have it delivered. The white glove service, as we call it at my dealership. Hey, Alice and Judy, it's David Booth at Schottenkirk. I talked to Cindy about finding you guys an awesome vehicle that would work for you, that would be great space and size. So we're going to show some of the features of this van behind us. It's a 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. I've got Chris here. He's a product specialist. He's also going to show you the stow and go, because I know when you guys travel, you like to have plenty of storage for traveling. So I think this vehicle is going to do everything you need it to do. And I'm the general manager of the dealership. Chris is a product specialist. And Cindy had told me to make sure we found you something really nice. So I believe we've done that. So to get to out-experience the competition, most general managers will say, oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time to do stuff like that. Do you guys think I'm busy? Of course. But I understand the value of taking a few minutes out of my day to shoot these videos with my people, because it elevates them and helps them understand. Because when we make that car deal, and the salesperson that helped me with that transaction, what do they now believe in? They believe in the power of video, the power of making yourself uncomfortable. You know, I don't feel comfortable holding an iPhone and talking to some stranger, but getting outside of our comfort zone, putting forth maximum effort, gets us incredible results. The next thing, preparing for the appointment. When you arrive at the dealership, what does the vehicle look like? Again, do you have to go search it out on the lot, or is it prepared in a designated area for the customer before they arrive? Again, it goes back to maximum effort and being prepared. Your staff will only do this if you're coaching them up and you're demonstrating to them how you want it done. When they see the results of it and the impact the customer has, how they respond to this, how they feel special right out of the gate, they'll start having wins, and the more they win, the more likely they are to continue this effort. Here's another example with the bow and with the signage. So to me, the question is, how do you put forth extra effort in your respective markets at your dealerships? We're given some examples, but there may be things in your market that will work better than the examples we've provided, but we want you to think about that. How do you out-experience your competitors? Because that's what's going to matter today and in the future. As the margins continue to shrink, people will still pay for experiences. Okay, turn it back over to you, John.
Yeah, thank you. So we've looked at ease, and we've looked at, exclusivity, and we've looked at effort, and the next one here is expertise. People pay a premium to work with an expert. And I think one of the challenges that we have is we're not always asking the question that we should be asking when it comes to this, is how do we elevate our expertise for our team? We don't really think about expertise. We try to get them to a sufficient level of knowledge, but we're not talking about trying to make them product specialists. We're not senior product specialists, experts in their field. And so we want to help them become experts. And to do that, we have to train them to say, I can help you. When I was new to the business, and I think all of us can relate to this story, we were taught, hey, tell everybody you're new. Tell everybody you're new. Tell everybody you're new. Try that for as long as you can get away with that, right? The problem is when you say I'm new to a customer in today's demanding marketplace, it translates to I'm ignorant and incompetent. That's what new means. I'm ignorant and incompetent, and the average customer just doesn't have the tolerance for that. And so the customer just demands a higher expectation of expertise because the knowledge base that's available to me as a consumer makes me feel like an expert. I know what I'm doing. Why the hell don't you? Like, I'm not here every day. Why do you not know what I already know? And so we have to then train them to learn how to say, I can help you, instead of I don't know and I have to check and let me go see. And so it's really important, a simple word, just very simple word track, like you're asking the right person, I'm the one that can help you with that. That's my pleasure to do that for you because that's my primary responsibility. Just saying things like that makes people go, oh, I'm talking to the right person. So that's really important that we do that. Increasing their authority by, again, even the title that we give them, the way that we help them come to work as far as their preparation of dress code. I come into some stores and I'm questioning your judgment on your outfit, so I'm certainly going to question your judgment on the vehicle, right? Some customers, they're going to judge you by sizing you up, and your team, unfortunately, sometimes looks pretty maybe raggedy, or they don't look very well kept, or they don't dress like they're there to be a professional. So sometimes it's simple things like that we can do to elevate their expertise. It's the language that they use. It's the way they carry themselves. It's the title that we give them. It's the way we talk about them when we're doing a management intervention or TO. All these things elevate the perception the customer has that they're talking to the correct person to solve their problem. And when you do that, what happens is they are willing to pay a higher price to work with an expert. The last one on here is to practice educational selling. I think it's really important that the team learns, especially in the core areas like how to explain how pricing actually works in a price-driven marketplace. Trade values, how do they work? Credit, how does it work? It's amazing to me how many salespeople, when I sit down and say, explain to me your pricing model of your dealership. Explain to me how pricing works at your store. Well, the manager sets the price. Well, I understand, okay, fine, but how does the manager set the price? What factors are determining the price that the management ultimately sets? I don't know, just his mood. It's like, well, no, there's got to be more than that. But they're not able to educate the buyer through the process. They don't know how to explain how credit works or explain how banks look at a credit score or what banks look at other than a credit score. And because they lack that knowledge, they say, I don't know and I'm not sure, and they say it too many times and they diminish their authority. And the more they diminish the authority, then when it comes 30 minutes later for me to say, I think you guys should do it, well, why would they trust my judgment now when I haven't had the ability to answer any questions for the last 30 minutes. So if you want to elevate, one of the ways you can elevate your value that your dealership brings to the marketplace is to make sure that you're having regular training sessions that develop the skill sets, the word tracks, and the way that they compose their answers, whether it be online, on the phone, or on the lot, to common questions and to common scenarios that show up. It's an underdeveloped thing, and I think all of us in this room could get better at making our people experts. So we want to try to do that as much as possible. So how do you do that at your dealership? You know, how do you do that? Do you have a regular scheduled training sessions at your store? Is there regular and consistent product and process-based training exercises at your store? If I went to your store right now and I said, show me the training calendar at your store, could you show me a calendar with all the training and the schedule and who is it and what's their... Most stores don't have this. But you know what? It's such a price-driven marketplace. It's such a competitive marketplace. If we can get advantage wherever we can, we need to leverage it. And that's why leveraging things like what we're showing you today can make a huge difference for your dealership. Now, as we're kind of summarizing all these things, you know, like I said, we have talked about the ease of the sale. We've talked about the exclusivity. We've talked about the effort. We've talked about expertise. In the big picture, we're talking about the experience as a whole. And what we're really asking is, how do we then create a unique experience? How do we create an experience that causes the customer to want to tell a story? How do we entertain the customer? Because we're in Vegas, right? We're in the city of entertainment. There's so much money being spent by people who came here to be entertained. And not only do they come to be entertained by going to a show, they pay VIP. They took the Uber instead of the cab because it was easy. And then they got in the box seats because it was exclusive. This town is like, it's the epitome of what I'm talking about. People paying a premium when these things combine. And so when you look at this next section here, it's going to get a little bit weird. And I just want to kind of preface this in advance by telling you in advance, I want to kind of almost apologize in advance. What I'm about to show you is going to look very weird to some of you. You're going to think this is crazy. I don't even know if I would ever want to do this at my store. I don't even know if I'd ever want to have a salesperson do that at my store. And I understand if you have reservations or hesitations. I'm going to ask you to, if I can, borrow a little bit of your creative imagination, step outside your box, and just imagine how this would influence the customer's psychology. We're going to start by how we entertain them. So I want to introduce you to one of my salespeople. This is Magic Matt. Magic Matt. So obviously this is the delivery. He's doing a photo, and he also does videos. He does videos with all of his customers. This is the shirts that all of his customers get. I make your car buying stress disappear. Magic Matt, he makes your car buying stress disappear. He's got shirts and tank tops for all of his customers. This sign is actually in the driveway entryway for the dealership, telling all of his customers where to find Magic Matt. He takes his business very seriously. These are the sold signs. Every car that he sells has a sold sign holding on it for the delivery. And many times as he's getting ready for his deliveries, he'll have several vehicles set up that all have these sold signs in them. So there might be 5 or 6 vehicles with sold signs of Magic Matt in a row. Now, let me share with you the results of this. Let me show you why this is important, how this translates to the bottom line. Okay, so this is actually a message from Magic that he sent me. So this is August 3rd. So this is this year. So whatever this is, a couple months ago. So on August 3rd, so this is the previous month there. So this is, he's recapping how his month went for July. So July he sold 26 cars, and he's letting me know 1st of August how it went. And so again, oh, by the way, I should tell you, he's at a standalone GMC dealership, not a Buick, not a Chevy, a standalone GMC. And there's not a Buick or a Chevy store on property anywhere around them. This is true, actual standalone store. It's 3.5 years old, the store is. Okay? It's in Carmel, New York. So it's a standalone GMC store, and this guy sold 26 cars in July. So he sent me this message just to let me know how things are going, because this is actually at the beginning of July. So he says, you always said build massive value, and as a narcissistic New Yorker, I was like, what is this guy talking about? What is this Jonathan's angle? Turns out I know exactly what you meant, and I love you for showing me how to finally get my hard work to pay off. Thanks. No angle, just be yourself, all good things. So he's a New Yorker, and he's a 23-year veteran. 23-year veteran. He was selling 8, 9, 10, 12 cars a month. And he thought and he was the top salesman at 12 cars. And he's just like, John, you keep talking about adding massive value and out experience. He said it's a GMC standalone store. There's just a limitation. It's just impossible to sell 20 cars a month. It just cannot be done. It's 3 years old. The store's 3 years old. It can't even be done. This was sent to me September 1st. August, 29 cars, almost 80,000 in gross, 26 of them repeats and referrals. If I told you I could take one of your team and get them to 30 cars with 80 grand in gross and have that many of it be repeat referrals, but they had to wear a freaking magic outfit, you got some people to be sign me up, right? He says, thank you. The past 8 months, I've been salesman of the month.
If your advertising expense is $225 a car, he just got you 26 times $225 in free advertising.
That's right.
Exactly.
And
You'll see a
free
couple
bottom
of my
line.
guys here just-
You'll see.
25 is cheap.
That's incredible, right? That's what I'm talking about. So what we want to do is we want to give them a story to share. You want to talk about how do they get this level of, like, how do you generate that many referrals? Well, I'm going to show you how they do it. My students, what we do is we help salespeople become a story and not just a salesperson.
That's right.
Because no one wants to share a salesperson with anybody. But people love sharing stories with people. So when we create story instead of just sales, we magnify our sales potential. So this is Duck. You saw him earlier with the customers. He has the bubble machine and all that. So I want you to meet Duck. That's his little duck quacker. That's his shirt. Duck sells cars. Okay, I'm telling you, it gets weird. Here's where it gets weird. This is his coloring contest he does for his customers. Every customer leaves with their own choice of whatever kind of ducky they want. This is the duck that David...
I own half that duck.
He owns half that duck. He
He's
invested.
one of my sales guys.
He invested in him, so he owns half the duck. But that duck is sitting at the dealership, right? Now, Scott Duck, the salesperson, and I are working on some strategies right now. We're actually going to invite customers to come back with their ducky and have a duck race. And we're going to build a little channel around and fill it with water. And we're going to push water through it. And we're going to have all the ducks numbered and have a duck race and go Facebook Live and have his customers come in and race their duck and see which duck wins. We're going to just keep doing this stuff because you know what? It creates story. It creates experience. It's why Vegas exists, because people love paying money for something different. What we're trying to do here is we're basically trying to say, what if we created Raving Fans? What if we got out of just the business of trying to sell a car? What if we stopped trying to just see if we could move a unit? What if we got in the business of trying to create Raving Fan advocates instead? What would that look like if we built a business based on Raving Fan advocates instead of just customers? Because when you're selling a car to somebody, it starts at the lowest level of a stranger. It goes from a stranger to somebody who becomes an acquaintance when they meet your person. And then if your salesperson does a good job, they maybe become friendly with your salesperson. But that's where most salespeople stop the business growth. They go from stranger, they sell a person who's friendly, and they leave. What I want to do is graduate from someone who's friendly to someone who thinks of you as a friend. And then from someone who thinks of you as a friend to someone who thinks that they've now become your fan. And they go from a fan to a raving fan. And when they go from a raving fan to an advocate, it's the highest pinnacle that we could ever hope to achieve. Some of you have someone who sells 20 cars a month but doesn't create any advocates a month. So they are 0 to 0 every month, and they're transactional buyers, which means you got to spend an average of $660 every car deal to get those people in, because your people are just moving units, they're not creating advocates. And that's a completely different business model. Let me show you what I'm talking about by showing you, as we close up, the best evidence that this works. The best evidence that you're creating Raving Fans, in my opinion, is one simple word. It's the word referrals. I think we would all agree that the best evidence that you've done a job well done is a customer's willingness to refer you to their friends and family. If a customer's willing to refer you, that is one of the highest honors you can ever receive as a sales professional. Now, here's what I want to ask you, because this is the last segment here, and we're coming to the Q&A portion. I want to ask you all to do something real quick in your head. I want you to imagine that you sell a car to somebody, and you're going to ask them for referrals. Okay, so you're going to say, hey, if you have anybody else you think that would like the way I do business, I'd appreciate if you could give me some names and numbers, some people that you think I could reach out to. Asking for referrals. Now, I want you to think, what would be a good list? I'm talking about an actual list of names and numbers from one customer at point of sale. If they gave it to your team member, and your team member came up and said, look, they gave me some referrals. I want you to hold the number in your head. How many would that be to be a good list of referrals? Think of a number. My team member, my salesperson got a list. How many names and numbers did they get that you think that's a really good list? Congratulations. Think of that number. Everybody got a number? Now double it. Everybody got a new number. Now multiply that times 10, and you have a new number. So you took a number that you thought was good, you doubled it. If you doubled it, it went from good to what when you doubled it? Yeah, it went to great, probably, right? 10 times great is what? It's absurd, right? So I want to hear your numbers. What was the final number you ended up with, Tony? 120. 120. Kelly? 60. Art, what'd you end up with? 60? 60? There's a bunch of small thinkers in the room. What did you end up with? Holy buckets, lady. What's your name? Kathy? So Kathy, you started with, to get to 2,000, that was 10 times 200. So you started with 100? So if a salesperson got 100 names and numbers, you thought that's a good job? Yeah. I like her style. And by the way, Kathy, you're actually really close to what my students do. Here's one of my salespeople. This salesperson here sold the car. After the sale, he asked the customer for referrals and said, how many of your friends and family would you feel comfortable recommending me to? He says, I'd recommend you to everybody. He says, is there an easy way for you to do that? You could maybe just I don't know, transfer your phone list? The guy said, yeah, how do I do that? This is actually a transferred phone list. The customer downloaded an app and sent his entire phone list to a car salesperson, 106 contacts. Isn't that absurd? Think about who would do that, right? That's craziness, right? It gets crazier. Here's another salesperson at the dealership, 123 from one customer. At the time of sale, he sold the car. This family put together 123 names and numbers for him. It gets crazier. 42. Here is a 800 Beacon. This lady's got excellent credit. She's actually buying the car for her daughter. This is the daughter who's the buyer. This is the other sister. At the end of the sale, this 800 Beacon with her two daughters took out their phones and they wrote down, you can barely see it, it's 142 names and numbers. And they did a video testimonial to go with it for the salesperson. Now, this is 297. After the sale, the lady sat there for an hour and a half and wrote down 297 names out of her phone to give to a car salesperson. It doesn't even make sense. Your expression is the correct expression. It's confusion and doubt and curiosity all mixed into one. It's like, what the heck am I seeing here? It doesn't make sense. Like, who would do that? Why would you do that? It gets better. Here's a video of it going down live. Each of those sheets has 40 slots on it for 40 names and numbers.
All the cool people in the club.
All the cool people in the club. Say hi, guys.
Hey. They just bought a 2016 pre-owned Ford Expedition from us today.
From the Big P in Peoria, Florida.
Giant P, the Peoria Ford. All the cool people.
So we are, okay. So as the journey continues, these guys did a great job for us. They have, as you can see, filled out 540 referrals for us. Thank you, guys.
These girls right here are the first sole members of the 500 Club, and it happened here at the Big P.
Yeah, the Big P. We just set a national record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Listen, they didn't just give 540 numbers, which took them over 2 hours. They didn't just do that on a used car they bought. Look at them afterwards. Look at them. It's madness. It doesn't even make sense unless you understand the power of out-experiencing your competition. The power of creating advocates instead of just customers. See, an advocate will go out of their way to ensure that the cause of the thing they care about will win. An advocate goes door knocking for a policy they care about or a political candidate they care about. An advocate puts yard signs in their yard. An advocate puts bumper stickers on their car. An advocate gets in fights with friends on Facebook and unfriends their mother. Like, that's what an advocate does. What I'm saying is your customers have the potential to become your advocates. But that doesn't happen in a transactional mindset. It happens in a relational mindset. It happens when you out-experience the competition. Not just out-price them or out-facility them or certainly don't pay inventory them. It comes from the experience. People don't pay a premium because you had 1,000 cars on the lot. That's not why they pay a premium. They certainly don't pay a premium because you had the lowest price. That's actually the opposite. They don't pay a premium because you had the lowest price. You see what I'm saying? Now, this next video here, I'm going to give you a little preface. This is actually David with one of his salespeople. Now, in the video, David is so excited that he says the word reviews, but he actually means referrals. But he's just really excited, so he actually uses the word reviews instead of referrals. But here's a live deal going down.
Hey, Jonathan Dawson, I'm here with the Hitman, the world champion for review collection, adding massive value, creating rating advocates. His first customer was how many reviews?
816,
His second customer was,
767.
and he did a hat trick today. What do you think the third customer was? What was the third?
10.
That's still an average of like, somebody help me with math, 530 for the day. What you got, Patrick Hickey? What you got, buddy?
John Kirk, baby.
Yeah.
So he's giving a shout out to one of my other clients, a client that had a salesman who got the 540 that you saw. Another salesman just after that got 560 and sent a video to tell me to send to all the other GMs and say, hey, we're at 560. What are you guys doing? Chop liver. So then we got that, so sent it to him. But this is ridiculous, right? So the question to you is simply this. How do you create an experience at your store? What are you doing to create an experience? Not just to sell a car, but to create an experience. What are you doing to out-experience your competition? Because here's the reality. It's not an even or a fair marketplace right now. It's not. Okay? You have margin, marketing, you have manufacturer pressures, you have multi-channel communication strategies, you have the madness of running a store. You have all of this stuff stacked against you. It's all stacked against you right now. So if it's all stacked against you, how are you going to tip the scales in your favor? How are you going to tip the scales in your favor? You must implement these strategies to tip the scales in your favor. Now, I had given you our big, bold promise. I said that 50 minutes from now, that you're going to feel these things. If I've done my job and if David has done his, you should leave here right now feeling challenged, feeling inspired, and feeling convicted that you too, with 100% certainty, can go back and tip the scales in your favor and out-experience your competition. I'm Jonathan Dawson. This is David Booth. Thank you so much for your time. So at this point, obviously, we're at the Q&A, and we've got about 6 minutes or so for that. So I want to open it up to any kind of questions. We went at a pretty quick clip, but we wanted to show you lots of examples and not just theoretical ideas. So we hope that we did that. If you have a question, a comment, a concern, an observation, a hope, a dream, or a fear, you can share any of those with us, and we'll try to address them.
Yeah,
come up to the mic.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
David, you mentioned using co-video to use your videos. Why do that versus just shooting the videos and sending it through email?
Yeah, great question. Co-video.
Can you repeat the question for the audience?
Yeah, so the question was why not just shoot it on your phone and send it out directly versus using an app like Co-Video. The reason I choose to use Co-Video at my dealership is actually several reasons. The number one thing is not everyone uses iPhone, so Co-Video has embedded technology that allows you to deliver that video message to whatever format they're watching it on, whether it's on on an iPhone, on an Android, or even on a desktop. And it formats to that screen. The other thing is, I could get into a lot of the technical side of it, but there's embedded technology that will tell you how many times did they watch the video, where did they watch the video from. So we use that and we've got it down to a science. For example, if I send you a video, walk around and you're considering the vehicle, if you watch it 15 times, what have you done?
Yeah.
You've shared it with other people.
Yeah.
Wow, look what this guy did for me. Or you've watched it over and over. We know based on the number of times viewed whether it's a car deal or not. We know if it's clicked on and they watch the first 10 seconds, move on. That's not someone that's interested.
Yeah.
So we use those technologies. Then we also can see what did they do at the end of that video. There's exit links that we use where they can click back into the vehicle information page, or they can go to email me directly. They can click a button to call me directly. There's all kinds of exit links that help us kind of format everything and keep it looking nice and clean.
Yeah, and there are several providers available on the expo floor and available in general. You can get providers that specialize in individual use or store-level platforms that allow you to do private branding.
Yep.
Most of them will track the engagement. The other thing is for compression, if you just send a file, you're sending an attachment, and it can break down in the compression trying to send a file as an attachment versus sending it as a streaming link. So you want to have that video hosted to a service streaming rather than coming as an attached file. But that's a great question and a comment on. Thanks, Tim. Any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, observations on what we did? Please.
You reduce your
Yes.
Where'd you start at? And, and also, do you expense your training and your advertising?
Okay, good question. So the question was, where did I start with my advertising, and do I expense training? First part of that, I was north of $600 a car, probably closer to 700. It's one of those things where I just kind of didn't look at it because it was so big, right? We're all guilty of that as dealers.
Especially in a competitive market like
there's a fire
Atlanta
burner over
market.
there. Yeah. It was a very expensive market. Atlanta's that I thought, if you're familiar with the market, it's very expensive to advertise. And I was doing a lot of traditional television and some of the stuff that I had always kind of done that I thought was the right thing to do. And when John and I started working together, I started looking at a better way to really deliver what I wanted, the end result for my customer. Is the TV ads and all that kind of stuff are fine, but they drive a transactional buyer. If I could do no business with transactional buyers, that's my goal, to get to a point where I don't even, do business with them. And it's all relationship-driven type business, because you guys all know that's the margins that we're all looking for. I do not expense advertising I have a separate expense for advertising.
For training.
So I can track it. Yeah, for training.
Yeah.
Yeah, training is separate. It's not part of advertising.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions,
comments,
observations, concerns? Yeah.
I believe I read one of your articles, Jonathan, and I think it was in Forbes about like authority levels for salespeople.
Yeah.
And how they can, and then you talked about a few of the ways regarding the expertise portion, how they can raise their authority level.
Yeah, actually, yeah, so that's a good point. So if you wanted to find that article, yeah, I published it. It was one of my, thank you for mentioning it was in Forbes. Yes, I've published in Forbes a couple times, so that's nice of you to mention that, but yes. So anyways, but yeah, so the article, in fact, any resources you would like, if you're curious about my approach, if you put Sellchology, which is my company name, into Google, and then you just put space after that in Google, it'll bring up a bunch of predictive searches, which is the most common things people who know me search for. But you can really search for almost any topic. You could put Sellchology authority, or Sellchology value, or Sellchology closes, or Sellchology referrals, or Sellchology greeting, or Sellchology whatever into Google, and you'll find, I'm all over the web like Spider-Man, so I'm real easy to find. Yeah. What's that? I've got a Facebook group, yeah. I mean, I can't pitch and I don't want to over-promote, so I appreciate you mentioning that. But yeah, I've got a Facebook group that's a free group. You can pitch it, yeah.
Yeah, and if y'all have questions for me specifically, my email is actually davidbooth@Schottenkirk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Email me. I'm happy to help. I try to, a lot of what I do for Jonathan, he's provided a lot of value to my company. We've worked together for the last 5 years. So the reason I'll drop what I'm doing, hop on a plane and come out here is because of what he's done for me. And that's not, it's just, I don't know a better way to endorse him than to, drop what I'm doing and come out here and share my experiences of what happens in my dealership when we apply these things.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm happy to help. Just email me questions and,
Yeah. So
any other questions?
if you have any other thoughts, comments, I think we got to wrap up. So I'm gonna be out in the foyer. So David, but we want to thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you guys staying to the last day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.